Welcome back, everyone, to Kawaka Talks. Today, I want to talk about leaving bad situations. Um, so, it begins when we were young, right? You have a couple of friends that you hang out with in school, and imagine these friends. They start to do some drugs. Start to drink. You guys are teenagers. And somewhere you just feel like this is not the right company to be with, but maybe you're shy, or like maybe you're afraid to be alone by yourself. So you continue to hang out with these friends, and it escalates, and they start to do bad, even more bad things. They start to become criminals, but you still stick on the idea that they're still your childhood friends, so you still stick it out with them, and you know these friends, they start to invite you to like some weird parties. You show up, and it's like it's people like way above your age, and you can't really tell them no, because this is your friends that you grew up with. You want to you want to hang out with them. And so one day, the police, they show up, and you know you you guys you get caught. And imagine, you didn't do anything, just because the fact that you hanged out with them, now you're also in trouble, and it's you realize, when you're at the police station, that this wouldn't have happened, if you chose to be by yourself, for example, instead of hanging out with these people. And you know it make you realize that, like, sometimes it's better to be by yourself, than to try to keep a company that is actually going somewhere where you don't want to go, but afraid of being alone. You choose to hang out with these people, and it happens a lot. You might think that that you grow wiser, but it keeps happening in life. So basically, you grow up, and then you get a job, for example. I mean, some of you guys, like, as like, your first job tend not be to be your best job. You're probably young, and then you don't really know your rights, in the workplace, so to say. And you let a lot of your colleagues, like, kind of use you, like they let you do their work and stuff like that, and you don't really get compensated for that, and then they take all the credit, and I think that it's a bad thing, because you end up hating yourself, like you end up hating that job, right? So I think that it's very important to always try to understand, when it's time to leave, this these bad situations. I mean, obviously, I understand that, like, for example, compared to keeping a bad friendship, like, a job where you're not really, feel like that you're being respected, or like being really appreciated. Obviously, I understand that you need it, because I mean, you have to pay your bills, your rent, right? um but I think that it's, like, no money is worth getting disrespected, no money is worth, like, feeling bad about, like, no amount of money, um I've had so many friends tell me, oh, I make this amount of money, it's I got a lot of benefits, but they hate, like, as soon as, like, that alarm clock rings in the morning, like, they just hate their life, like they just want to book a flight to Thailand, right? you know, and just forget everything. But as I say, it's always, you know, I think that it's not worth staying somewhere where you're not getting, treated right. It's not worth it, be it like relationship with a woman, or even like, even with, other people, so always, you always have to judge you always have to judge the situation from how it is now. Like, how do I feel now? you know this work, okay, I was respected a year ago, am I still respected now? And if it's a no, then you probably need to start to look around, you know um because it's so crazy that we stay in these situations for that long, that we just try to think, oh, okay, this person will change, or like maybe like the boss will finally see my value, my colleagues, they'll finally start to respect me, and like actually think highly about me, but it's sad to say, but most of the times, like, people, they don't change, like like the way they perceive you the first time they meet you, like that, like they won't really change that narrative, right? So I think that it's up to you as a person to always make sure that that people are treating you the way you want to be treated. It's a difference. It's a different being treated the way they want to treat you, and being treated the way you want to be treated, because it's not necessary that I want to be treated the way you want to be treated. I might be want to treat it in a different way, you know so I think it's very important that you let people know that, okay, that's not okay, and like you have boundaries and stuff like that. And if they still crossed it, like, you know you leave. You're not a tree, you're not a mountain, you leave. you know Try to find better connections, better relationships, better people. And if it's a job, I understand, but try to look for another one, another job. um because I always say, like, it's always better to be by yourself than to be in bad situations, because a lot of the times it end up affecting us so much. um and no, I think it's very, very important, to understand that we're on this earth on very limited time. So just make sure that you hang out with good people, good jobs, and even like relationships, right? So you meet this woman, and then she's sweet, very sweet, in the beginning, and then with time you start to understand that, oh, like, this person, she's really, really narcissistic. Like, the only time she feels good is when she puts me down. But yet you continue being in this relationship, and then you just end up like starting to hate yourself. Like, you start to think that there's something wrong with you. But you just want to but you just don't want to realize that that's not the right relationship for you to be in. Like, anyone who makes you feel you bad about yourself, that's not a good person. you know he's not a good person. So always try to analyze people the way they behave towards you now, not yesterday, not last week, not a year ago. Just because someone treated you right a year ago doesn't give them the right to mistreat you today. You understand? So I think it's or not I don't think I know it's always very important to always realize, okay, am I still being respected at this table or not? If it's a no, then you're at the wrong table. Like, leave as soon as respect stops being served on the table. You leave because it's not gonna get better. People, they don't change. you know People, they wear masks, until they get tired of it. So my message for today is that, um, as soon as respect and appreciation for you stops being served towards you, you leave that situation. might, let that be a job, let that be a relationship, let that be, whatever situation in life you're in. As soon as those two things disappears, I want you to also disappear right away. Because this life is too short. It's too short to hang out with people who don't like and appreciate you. Please don't do that. So yeah, that was the message for today. And also, I just want to add that, like, when I make my videos, I've chosen to do them very raw. So I rarely edit them. I don't really edit them. So I'll always try to be as raw as possible. Yeah, so hope you guys appreciate that I'm trying to be as authentic as possible. Yeah, so I just wanted you guys to know that. But I really like this, and it's very, very fun. Yeah, so if you like this video, please consider commenting or subscribing. I would really appreciate that. This is Jonah talking on Kabaka Talks. See you soon, guys. Bye.